Hello everybody, my name is Bill. Welcome back to the NCAA Football 2007 Dynasty Mode Series. As we are continuing our off-season evaluations, we got the Mountain West, Pac-10, SEC, Sunbelt, and WAC Lift. So let's just cut to the chase and start off with the Mountain West. Last year, as after this, I will go ahead and get to recruiting. I might just do a postseason grade for every team over every conference. Just see what all they have upstart wise, and probably look at their team schedules and see what they'll have going into next season. Isn't just for something different. I decided to evaluate every single team here for the postseason. Well, actually, preseason grade, not postseason. For next season, do a preseason grade of each conference, how I think they're gonna do. You know, no, I think lowest grade I might go as a D for the conference. But that's just personal thing. Aim for afterwards. But let's stop talking about the things I'm going to do for the next season. Let's continue with what I have left for this season and start off with San Diego State. The 24th ranked Aztecs went 10-3, their best win being back in week 6 against UNLV at home. Final score 42-26. Their worst loss came in week 3 to Oregon State, 37-26. Now, yeah, sure, they've got 3 losses and they beat Stanford in their bowl game. So, but their other loss, I believe, was to another decent team, and they had one conference. Not that I think I put it as another team's key win. If not, then it's probably because of their other matchup being good. Yeah, they lost to Colorado State and they lost to Mickey. Colorado State's a good team, and yeah, I didn't put that as their key win. I put their bowl win over that. But yeah, you lose to a 4-8 team, 37-26. How? I know it's the Pac-10, but how? They're like one of the worst teams in the Pac-10, I do believe. And that's the next episode too, so we're gonna get a little bit of a sneak peek of where Oregon State actually finished in the Pac-10. Yeah, finished third to last, tied with Washington for second to last, conference record-wise. So, yeah, how do you lose to that bad of a team? But anyways, they're great in my opinion. They're great on offense, scoring, defense, sacks, and also very gutsy on fourth down. They could hardly do any wrong. I say hardly, because the only improvement is that they weren't disciplined. My thoughts are the Aztecs could do no wrong here, as they were one of, if not, the best team in the conference. 437.8 yards per game on offense, 313.1 passing yards per game, good to be fourth best in the entire nation. Not just best in conference, top 5 in the nation, which is pretty impressive for a Mountain West school. Excuse me there. 36 points per game, 51 passing touchdowns, allowing 315.6 yards per game, which was one of the best in conference. Allowing 22.6 points per game, getting 33 sacks, and went 12 for 15 on fourth downs. The only problem I see is discipline. They had 94 penalties for 804 yards. Fix that, and they'll repeat as Mountain West champions under Tyshawn Penny and be one of the best teams in the entire nation. Now, for comparisons, their best wide receiver, I'm just going to go to roster so that way we don't have to wait like 5 years for for the thing to load. Yeah, I think you finished. I remember when I tried to do this before. He was the top guy. He had 83 receptions for 877 yards. When you have nearly as many receiving yards as um, as many passing yards, at nearly as many nearly as many penalty yards. There we go, as receiving yards. That your senior wide receiver that finished second All Mountain West had. You need to just be a little bit more disciplined, Mr. Penny. Just a little bit more. And I almost went to the area where we're gonna have to wait like 5 minutes for it to load all the stats because it always freezes at the kicking. Takes a while on the kicking stats, which I don't understand. I understand defensive stats though. Oh, but kicking, really? But anyway, we go from this year's champs to last year's champs in Utah. Now you're questioning, they're 6-7. How are they above UNLV and Colorado State? Because Utah beat both of them. You know, it's the whole like order of sequence. If this team beat this team, then this team goes ahead of that team. You know, that's how a lot of things go. Utah finished with a disappointing 6-7. Their best win came in Week 6 against Colorado State, 49-24, and their worst loss came in Week 11 at New Mexico, 34-31. Now, granted, I threw them on my schedule and I beat them to 11 pulp, 255 to nothing. If they would have just tried to run the ball a little, would have tried to throw the ball a little bit more, that final score would have probably been 245 to nothing because I got 5 safeties in that game. Now great, they are great on offense and on sacks. Although they underachieved with what they had last year. Their defense sucked, partially because of them facing me, and they need to lessen their turnovers, again, partially from facing me. The Utes had an amazing season last year, going, I think, either 13-0 or 12-1, and winning the conference. This year, they underperformed big time. They did well offensively, even with facing Missouri Central, but the defense suffered big time, along with the turnover number. 371.4 yards per game is still good on offense, while scoring 31.3 points per game. But allowing 442.7 yards per game isn't good, even though they had 39 sacks, most in the conference. They also allowed 44.6 points per game. They also had 40 turnovers. Since they didn't do well, Bobcats will steer clear of them next year, so hopefully they'll do better. That was the problem. I put them on the schedule because I thought they did very well. Like Clemson and LSU. You know, let's go ahead and take a little look at my schedule and explain some of these teams. Like, they did good last year, they did good last year, they did good last year. Alabama's Alabama. USC's USC. Florida State did real well. Maryland, you know, they did pretty decent last year. Louisville's my rival. South Carolina, they did real well. Nebraska, like I said in Big 12, they did real well. Michigan was good. Miami was also good. So you see, all these teams were like good. I chose not to face bad teams. Like, ratings wise, Utah was probably my worst team that I went up against. Yeah. Lowest I've seen is a B, and that came from Utah. You know, land of the Mormons. And of course, it popped me back over to my little thing, but anyways. So let's leave Utah for a bit and go to Vegas. Because it's always fun to go to Vegas, right? Because what happens there stays there. What happens there stays there. So what I'm told, but Hell's Kitchen this season's happening in Vegas. So yeah, it ain't staying in Vegas. It's going on national TV. But anyways, the Rebels went 9-4. Their best win came in Week 12 against Colorado State and Colorado State as well, 35-19. And their worst loss came in Week 5 against Wyoming, 27-13. They're great on offense, great on defense, and especially scoring defense. They just need to improve their discipline because going all in might be good on a poker table, but it's not good for football. Then again, it's probably not good on a poker table either, considering a house always wins. The Magnus Chase-led Rebels did pretty well this year. They had the second best offense in the conference at 408.4 yards per game, and third best defense at 329.2 yards per game. They also allowed the fewest points in the conference at 22.1 points per game. They do need to calm down a bit because having 83 penalties for 641 yards is not helping at all in attitude in Vegas. Calming down, and I say they'll be a 10-win team next year. Heck, they might even win the conference if they could just beat San Diego State. Like, if Colorado State, Utah, and UNLV can beat San Diego State, like, that's going to make this conference a lot more wide open. I think that's like the problem with some of these smaller conferences. Like, there's that one team that just does head and shoulders better than everybody else, and then you got the teams that kind of bring up the pack, and then you got like the teams that give it a little bit of time, they might make a run, and then you got a couple of bottom feeders here. Mountain West though kind of looks a little interesting though when it comes to trying to predict though. That's gonna be going to preseason conference winner prediction. I'm definitely doing that. A lot of ideas here in the Mountain West, but I've been rambling a lot in this video. On to Colorado State, where they went 9-4 as well. Their best win, in my opinion, came in the Idaho Potato Bowl. I know the game calls it the MPC Computer Bowl, but it's in Boise, Idaho. It's on the blue field of Boise, Idaho. I'm calling it the Idaho Potato Bowl because that's the bowl game I know it as. Against Louisiana Tech, 26-14, and their worst loss came against UNLV back in Week 12, 35-19. They're also great on offense, scoring. They're great at scoring, defense, and being a ball hawking team for interceptions. I just see that they need to improve their fumbles, though. The Rams did well this year, winning the Idaho Potato Bowl over a pass-happy team in Louisiana Tech, which I believe I predicted Louisiana Tech was going to go over in that game. I guess not. They had an offense that could hardly be stopped as they scored 30.1 points per game, had 304 yards flat per game, 192.3 yards per game on the ground, and allowing 318.2 yards per game, as well as allowing 99.3 yards per game on the ground, and picking the ball off 20 times. Like, this was a dangerous team that only had 4 losses, 3 of them in conference, which hurts them a little bit, but overall, though, they could easily make a run for the championship next year. Where I'd say the only improvement is forcing and recovering fumbles. They only recover 2, so they need to work on that, and they'll be Mountain West champions next year. And now, we will go to the military branch that I was in for basically 8 months, the United States Air Force. Went 4-8, 4-4 conference record. Their best win came Week 5 against Colorado State, 24-21 in the Ram Falcon Trophy battle. Their worst loss, and speaking of trophies, came in Week 6 against Navy, 42-0 in the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy. They got a great rushing offense and a good defense. I'm not going to say it's like a full grade, but it's a good grade. You know, it's good, but it could easily be an improvement as well. They just need to improve on their passing offense and forcing turnover. Aim high, fly, fight, win. And the Air Force motto only led them to 4 wins this year, losing to both Navy and Army, and couldn't bring home the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy. 163.9 yards per game on the ground is good, but 113.6 yards per game isn't good for a team with air in the name passing. They do have a decent defense though, allowing 352.8 yards per game. They need turnovers big time. They had 13 turnovers, which is bad, but had 17, which in comparison to the rest of the conference was good. Thorgamenden will hopefully lead the Falcons to a bowl season next year. Although, give him a little work, he could actually have him win the Mountain West, which would be great because Thorgamenden was an actual buddy of mine in the Air Force, or me and him came from the same flight, Flight 507, and me and him have been good buddies since, although I need to catch up with him a little bit, come to think of it. Wonder what part of the world he's in now. But we go from the place where you can travel all around the world to a place where you can basically feel like you see the entire world. Wyoming. They went 5-7, 4-4 in conference play as well. Their best win came in Week 5 against UNLV at UNLV in Sam Boyd Stadium. Final score of 27-13. The worst loss came 2 weeks later at the hands of New Mexico, 21-7. So a Lobo was apparently better than a Cowboy. They got great passing defense and forcing fumbles. And remember, this is also the same school that Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen, who's wanting to jump through flaming tables when the Bills win the Super Bowl, which I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to have seen that this year. But, we didn't get that this year. Hopefully next year. Here. I'm a Titans fan in the NFL, but if the Bills go on to win the Super Bowl, I'd like to see that because they made it to 4 straight Super Bowls back in the 90s before I was born. I was born in 97. They went 90-93, I want to say, and lost every one of them. It'd be a great thing to see Josh Allen lead the Buffalo Bills to a Super Bowl win. For their improvements, though, they need to get first downs, protect the quarterback, and improve on their rushing defense. Everything else was like average. The Cowboys really shot themselves in the foot this season, allowing 36 sacks. And they also had the least amount of first downs as well in conference, which I can just do this, go to here. We don't care about me. It's this time. Well, second worst first down at 175. 175 first downs is not something to be proud of. Unless it's 175 first downs in a game. Then that's something to be proud of. If they can protect the quarterback, they can be successful next season. They already have a good secondary, allowing 208.6 yards per game through the air, second least in the conference, but need a better front seven, allowing 184.3 yards per game while not winning games. Zeus Carlson should improve a bit in his 4th year at Wyoming, looking to make a bowl game next year. And now we head back over to Utah, Provo, Utah to be exact, in BYU. Why BYU? Why? Because of you. I'm bad at puns, as you can tell. BYU, the Cougars, went 2-10. Their best win came in Week 4 at TCU, 38-21. Their worst loss came at the hands of Colorado State at Colorado State, 55-14. Yeah, San Diego State wins the conference, yet Colorado State's been the more mentioned of like talk to the teens around here. Yeah, I don't even have San Diego State as one of their team's worst losses. Hold on. They're great though. They are great at passing the ball and also gutsy on 4th down. They just need to improve on the defense and 3rd down conversions. The Cougars, led by Steve Young, only had 2 wins, which is very shocking. They had a top 15 passing offense in the entire nation at 278.6 yards per game. They need a defense, though, as allowing 471.1 yards per game will not win you games at all. Oh, they also need to do better on third downs as they only converted 30% of their third downs, but made up for it by going 6 for 6 on fourth down. If you went 6 for 6 on fourth down, you should have gone for fourth down a few more times to actually try to win Steve. Improve the defense, and they'll be up there next year. I'd say probably 6-6, maybe 5-7. Maybe once we get in a bowl game. Now we go from Utah to Texas, Fort Worth, Texas to be exact, for TCU. The Horned Frogs went 3-9. Their best win came in Week 5 against New Mexico, 34-14. That's why they're not at the bottom of the rankings. But their worst loss came in that Week 4 matchup against BCU at home, 38-21. I couldn't find, their defense was decent, but their rushing offense was top notch. Then again, this is also the school Damian Tomlinson came out of, so no surprise that their rushing is great. But they do need to improve on their passing offense, and this was before Andy Dalton came into the school and became known as the Red Rifle. The Horned Frogs have a mediocre defense, which can win them a few games, but they need some work on offense. 173.9 rushing yards per game is good, but having only 138.4 passing yards per game should be worked on during the spring. Andrew Algerian has had a few good years, but he really needs to step up this team to show out next year here and make it to the bowl game. And now we end our tour of the Mountain West in the lovely desert of New Mexico, where the Lobos play. I'm curious though, where do the Lobos actually play at? Okay, let's see. Weekly Go Conference. Mountain West. Let's see here. Not what I'm looking for. Nope. Let's see. So, okay, road team in this case. Road team. Albuquerque. So, New Mexico plays in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's interesting to know. Funny what you find out through just looking around on a video game. Just messing around. I mean, this is probably gonna be like the second longest video right now. Just wait till we do the Pac-10, which is one extra team, which is a lot more stats, a lot more this, a lot more that. I don't know if that's even longer than the Big Ten episode, and that was 11 teams. But anyways, New Mexico's record was 5-7, though they went 2-6 in conference play. Their best win came against rival New Mexico State, 34-24. But their worst loss came against BYU in Week 6, 35-28. They got great ball control, and they don't throw that many. Well, they get a lot of interceptions. They just need to hold the opposition low on points. The Lobos didn't do well this year, and it was a mediocre team. Came 2-star school, though, you can't expect that. Pablo Freeway did have his odd not turnover, as they only fumbled 5 times. And this video is long enough, so I'm not going to do the WWE Booker T thing of the 5-time thing, Right, I just did it twice, I just need to do it 3 more times. They also forced 16 interceptions, which is good. Just mainly improve the defense and do not allow 31.2 points per game again. And I think they should make a bowl game. Personally, I think they should have probably made that bowl game over Miami of Ohio, which would have also then instituted a rematch against New Mexico State, which would have been a good matchup to see. But that is all for the Mountain West. Like I said, next time we'll be covering the Pac-10, and this conference I think is going to be at least fun to talk about for the top 3 teams. Maybe some of the other teams might be interesting, and the other few might be, just gotta talk about them. But anyways, I will see you all next time.